This is a Gatoroid. A Gatoroid is one of the many species you can roleplay as in my upcoming Florida Man RPG. The pre-launch GoFundMe is still up. We're in the home stretch, folks. A couple of more weeks, we're going to be launching this Kickstarter. But if you want to get in on the ground floor, you can go to the GoFundMe pre-launch and donate to them. You do that, you'll get your name printed on a special thank you page in the book. Plus, you'll get access to the Discord, which will give you a chance to provide feedback or suggestions. I mean, look at that guy. Can't get much cooler than that. If you're watching this on TikTok or Instagram, the link is in my bio. Otherwise, it's in the description. Thank you to all who have contributed and will contribute. Let's make this thing happen. Hey, you know what this is? This is a Gatoroid. A Gatoroid.
Bard Advice, Gone Rogue, a D&D, TTRPG, and everything nerdcast. These be the Halloween voyages of the Kirkship, Egyptiprise, whose ongoing mission is to bring forth questions that plague him about things he sees on the two of you, to quantifiably deliberate pseudoscience, to believe in the unbelievable, and to boldly ask the questions no one has asked before. And I am your host tonight. I am Captain Bartholomew Bones McCoy. I am the rogue pirate archaeologist. I am the rogue thief pirate archaeologist. And I am a Chris. I would like to welcome everybody into tonight's Halloween spooktacular. Though it's not really a spooktacular. It is more like an Egyptic spooktacular. I'd like to welcome everybody in for the evening. Welcome in. I did see Ron. I see Ruby. I see Yokai Lover. I see Kirk. And welcome in Bacon from across the pond. I see you're here and I see you're alive and well. An hour earlier than normal. Haha. It will be an hour earlier than normal until next week, because we don't set our clocks back until Sunday. But it will be this, unfortunately, I will get this out of the way here now, in the beginning of the podcast. This will be our final episode for the next 3 weeks, give or take. I don't believe that we will have an episode next week, because I will be getting my tattoo done. And my tattoo lasts from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if we do, it will be late, but I don't anticipate doing a podcast next week. I also don't expect to be doing a podcast the following week, because I will be traveling up to New London, North Carolina, for the Norse Forge Legacy Gathering, at which I will personally be giving a big ol' hug to Bacon, because she's flying in from across the pond sometime next week. It has been too long, Bacon. It has been too long. And yes, I will be bringing your cream of bacon soups. And then the following week, I will be unfortunately moving the pirate ship from the center of the state of Florida to the western shores of Sarasota, down in a place called Lakewood Ranch, where I will be until I go to the center of the state again in about March of next year. Soup time, yes. Yes. No, Kirk. It's not $5 on Mom. I'm sorry, you have lost that bet already, because my tattoo is a cover-up of a tattoo that I liked when I got it, but in the current climate of things going on in the United States, it does not represent me as much as it represents something that is bad. The bad actors have taken my symbol and pervased it, and I just am not happy with it. So I am getting it covered up with a depiction of Unicron, because I am a Decepticon at heart, and I want to be also a herald of Unicron. So you have lost that bet. Am I Ruth's Chris? No, I am not Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Although I would love to go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse at some point in time. Yes, but tonight we have a slew of questions, and they all come from Kirk. Thus, we are on the Kirkship Egyptiprise because, again, these questions come out of the Mediterranean and Egypt and stuff like that. You would like before and after tattoo pics. Oh, I will give you before and after tattoo pics so long as you don't judge me for me tattoo before. So, catching up on the backlog, yes. Seconded. So I do have, okay, I don't have an after, but let me do something, and maybe I'll be able to put something up in the chats or the stream here later. I just have to go to me book of face and to me profile. Actually, I can do this though. You guys would be seeing the you guys would be seeing everything that I do. So no, not that one. I want that one. No. Go back. Photos. Albums. I know I had them. Oh, wait a minute. You know what I did? I have to go. I think I set them to private. I will have to find them. I'll post them in the Discord, everybody. We have a lot to do, and I am farting around on this stuff, and it's not good for you guys. So, with that being said, I do want to make this one announcement first, or a few announcements first. First announcement, go over to Man Shorts and Bard Advice, and you shall see the latest announcement from the Bard Extraordinaire Chaz Yazik about his trip to the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, and his playtest ability of Florida Man, and you'll have updates and everything else. I also have second announcement from Yazik. He is currently in the process of working on his next rap album, and it is titled, so far it is titled Intact Amphora and Intact Amphora, something like that, tentatively. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for new music out of the Yazik. Our founding bard himself, yes. I don't care, Kevin, I don't care if you see behind the veil. I am not the wizard. Though sometimes I wish I was. No, I think I just set those photos to private. They're not on me post or my Facebook page right now, and I don't know why. I have to find them. So I know I didn't delete them, but I have to go and I have to find them. With that being said, we're going to get into our first question. And our first question is this. Kirk recently viewed a YouTube claiming that recent ground-penetrating radar searches may have found a location of ancient Egypt's lost labyrinth. This brings up some obvious questions like, what should archaeologists arm themselves with in order to have some defense against labyrinth dwellers such as minotaurs and chimeras? Well, Kirk, we're going to go to the big screen on this because we like the big screen. We don't necessarily like the little screen because you guys can't see me. So, the short answers. Some online videos, Kirk, and we have discussed this before, assert Egypt has halted examinations of an archaeological site and imply the pauses cover for creating... No, that's your second question. Where is the first question? You know what? It is here. I know it is. I just go here. If the Lost Labyrinth really guarded mythical beasts, the best strategy is the same as for any dangerous unknown environment. Avoid glamorizing violence, prioritize prevention, use non-lethal defenses, and rely on teamwork, planning, and science, not pseudoscience. The personal protective equipment and non-lethal defenses. Always carry ballistic and impact protection, lightweight body armor, plate or soft as appropriate, helmets with face shields, and knee and elbow protection to prevent blunt force and gore injuries. Because we all know those minotaurs, they have them horns, they like to gore ya. Eye and airway protection, sealed goggles and respirators to protect against dust, spores, and unexpected biologicals. Kirk doesn't even remember what questions he sent. His surprise is genuine. Net and trident. Yes. The answer is music. Aliens hate Earth music, and it was enchant the minotaurs and other mythological beasts. It will, yes, it might. Non-lethal deterrents, however. We got high lumen flashlights, strobe lights, long-range acoustic devices, LRADs, for dispersal and disorientation, and commercial-grade pepper spray, or inerting agents kept at last resort defensive tools. Barriers and crowd control, remote tools, drones, aired and tethered, fire suppression and illumination, first aid and decontamination. All of this is because whatever is unearthed is probably a biological, and you might find that you will suffer the same fate as those who unearthed Tutankhamun's tomb, where they all died within 6 to 8 months later because of they weren't used to what was buried in there, the bacteria and the plagues and the curses. And yeah, there's always a curse, especially in ancient Egyptian tombs. There's always a curse. But if you're going for the non-historical accurate portrayal of what archaeologists should bring, definitely bring a revolver, definitely bring your trusty fedora hat and your trusty bullwhip. And those are all tools that you use to defeat the Nazis. Because we all know the Nazis wanted to get the Egyptian stuff too. But there is question 1, Kirk. That is what archaeologists should bring to protect themselves with. Your next question is back to the first thing that we were doing. Question 2. More importantly, the same YouTube claims Egypt has shut down attempts to physically examine the site. Could Egypt be taking this opportunity to build itself an army of ancient monsters? And could that be effective? Well, Kirk, The simple answer, like I started with, is some online videos assert Egypt has halted examinations of an archaeological site and imply the pause is cover for creating ancient monsters or similar supernatural forces. The shorter answer is no. It's effectively impossible that Egypt or any state is secretly building an army of ancient monsters, in the sense that these videos mean. The technical, logistical, legal, and political barriers make that scenario functionally and strategically implausible. This is not Atlantis, the Lost World, which, on a side note, I just recently watched Atlantis, and I also just recently watched Treasure Planet, both for the very first time. So, claps and huzzas out there for your favorite pirate who finally got around to watching a 24-year-old movie. Why is creating ancient monsters implausible? The science and technology limits ancient monsters as living, controllable, supernatural beings do not exist within known biology or physics. Creating large, novel organisms with targeted behavior would require breakthroughs we do not have and would be visible to the global scientific community. However, to caveat on that, there is a company out there called Colossal Biosciences. Now, what they are doing is highly unethical, but it is not illegal, morally and ethically despicable, probably because they are bringing back creatures from extinction, or trying to, but they're not to the full-ons. Like, they just created a small pack 3 of dire wolves, but they aren't real true dire wolves. They're using pseudo dire wolf DNA and husky DNA and gray wolf DNA, put it in a blender basically, and spat out these 3 gorgeous looking dire wolf pups, but they're not true dire wolves. They also created something called the woolly mouse, taking the properties and the traits of a woolly mammoth and putting it into a mouse. Not hybridization, but they're trying to see if they can create something woolly that they can go ahead and create the woolly mammoth back from extinction. They are working on trying to recreate and reintroduce and distinctify the dodo bird. And there's a group out there who is actually working to de-extinctify the carrier pigeon, because the carrier pigeon, or is the passenger pigeon, one of the 2 pigeons, have gone extinct, and therefore they are working to de-extinctify them. Now, with that being said, we have just recently unearthed, I want to say it was in Peru, we have just recently unearthed a complete and intact 70 million year old dinosaur egg. And apparently nobody has seen enough Jurassic Park movies to understand that that is a bad thing. Creating dinosaurs from fossilized materials is not conducive for human life on Earth. They're saying this dino egg that has been fossilized for 70 years may have an intact full embryo inside, and they may be able to get a full, complete strand of dino DNA somehow. I don't know, but they might. Oh, unexpected biologicals, farts. Probably. Woohoo! At Pirate, I adore both of these movies. They are vastly underrated. I agree that Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and Treasure Planet was underrated. Though I had watched Treasure Planet just after I had finished reading on me TikTok, Dressed in Pirate, Treasure Island, and as Treasure Planet was going on, I was sitting there yelling at the movie, yelling at the cartoon. It says, this happens later in the book. It does not happen now. But that is me. That is not you guys. But obviously they were pretty good. Now, I will say this. I also tried to sit through and watch Atlantis 2, Milo's Return, and the cartoon drawing of Atlantis 2 from Atlantis 1 seems to be more like they were going for the same artistic design as the Atlantis TV show, the cartoon. But again, Atlantis 2, Milo's Return was a direct-to-DVD movie, and they had more planned after that. They just, because of its floppedness, they canceled the series. So, the most important question in any scientific endeavor is, can you lick it? I will tell you this, Bacon. There's only one word that you need to know, to understand, in order to answer that question. And that question is, do you have consent? If you have consent, then lick away. If it can't give consent, because it's a fossilized object, lick away. But if it can give consent, and it doesn't give consent, and you lick it, that might be bad. It might not be appreciated. Though some people might like the unexpected licking or biting. For those biters out there, I know Teeny is a biter. Yeah, Milo's Return isn't great. I like the idea of it, but not great. No. And the fact that they got somebody else to do Milo's voice instead of Michael J. Fox was poor in their decision making. They got everybody else back, but they didn't get Michael J. Fox. And it really was only, it was only 2, 3, 4 years after the first one. So they could have gotten Michael J. Fox back. They're also trying to de-extinct the giant bird from Australia. That might as well be a dinosaur, though I think it is an herbivore anyway. Well, there were dinosaur herbivores. The Triceratopses and everything. Oh, and I have to say, I just watched another movie yesterday, and I was very disappointed in it. All the hype for it and everything else. And to me, it was the most underperforming Jurassic Park movie of all Jurassic Park movies. This one Jurassic Park movie overwhelmingly is just as bad as the last 3 Star Wars movies. And that's saying something. But that is Jurassic Park Rebirth. Go ahead, watch the movie, take it for yourself, make your own opinion on it. But to me, it was very underwhelming for all the hype that they put onto it. But there's your question. No, the Egyptians are not creating a giant army of ancient monsters. But we have to move on. We have a lot of things to get through tonight and not a lot of time to do them. Question 3. Could a Minotaur wield modern firearms? Absolutely. A Minotaur could wield modern firearms, assuming the Minotaur has roughly human-like anatomy, particularly hands capable of gripping and manipulating objects. There's no inherent reason it couldn't wield modern firearms. Most depictions of Minotaurs in myth and fantasy give them humanoid torsos, arms, and hands, which would allow for the physical mechanics of aiming, firing, and reloading weapons. Whether or not they could see what they're aiming at, now that is something else. But they ultimately can wield and use modern firearms, and even probably more so better crossbows or bows and arrows, something with a string, something with the not a backfiery flame, stuff like that, because you don't want to get the Minotaur's fur on fire, and you don't want to get the Minotaur's fur to be smelling of gun oils and gunpowder and stuff like that. That's just bad. Exactly, Kevin. If they have fingers and thumbs, yes, opposable thumbs. Even the gorillas, even the great silverback gorilla of Central Africa, which has opposable thumbs, can and has used firearms before. At least they have, at least one that I know of has used firearms in the past. That was the gorilla from the movie Congo. Does anybody else remember Congo? It's one of my favorite Miko Crichton novels turned into movies. Though, to be fair, all of Michael Crichton's novels that have been turned into movies have been a favorite of mine. Whether it's Sphere, whether it's Congo, whether it's Andromeda Strain, whether it's what's the one about the Ebola? Whichever movie that is, the one that's with Ebola. That's not the Congo, is it? It might be. I don't think so. But then again, Jurassic Park. So, dear Minotaurs, please don't use guns. You'll get stinky. Captain Bones, 2025. Yes. Everyone knows that Minotaur's weapon of choice is a flamethrower and napalm. Napalm sticks to kids. Wait a minute, that's a Vietnam song. No. I jest. No, we do not advocate for the napalming of kids. At least not anymore. Well, Kirk, I hope that gave you an answer. Yes, go ahead and get a Warhammer 40k set and take the weapons from the orcs, and then go ahead and get a Warhammer set, the original Warhammer set, because I'm pretty sure they have Minotaurs in there. And go ahead and slap that orky freaking weapon in your Minotaur's hands. You'll be fine. Moving right along to question number 4. That's question 2. That's question 3. This is question 4. And finally, this time, the same groundbreaking YouTube reports that a large structure, like a giant metallic tic-tac, may be in the labyrinth's lower levels. It suggests this may be a Stargate-type device. Should we all be preparing ourselves for an invasion by ancient Egypt's godlike alien visitors? No, we have discussed this before, Kirk. We have discussed this before. And this stems from the fact that nobody in the pseudoscientific community understands how to read ground-penetrating radar. There is no credible evidence that you need to prepare for an invasion by ancient Egypt's godlike alien visitors. The claim about a giant metallic tic-tac or Stargate under Egyptian labyrinth is speculative, driven by sensational media and fringe interpretation of remote sensing. Do not follow anything by this one dude who a friend of mine has a very heated, one-sided rivalry with, because I don't think the other guy knows who my friend is. I think, well, he might, but do not follow anything that Mr. Graham Hancock says. We spit in the face of Graham Hancock, because all he does is treat my science and my profession with non-prudent, sensational clickbait. So yes, there is no Stargate. If there was, my friend would have been there investigating it, because he is a captain of an interstellar battlecruiser. And if you follow me on the Talkie of the Tick, you can follow my friend on the Talkie of the Tick. He goes by the handle Archeo Wolf, and that is all he discusses, is debunking pseudoscience. So shout out to Archeo Wolf. Now an invasion from the cat empire, from the cat reality, that's different. Kevin, you jest. But, question 5. I have too many cats. Who can I blame for this? What civilization was the first to domesticate cats? I need to blame someone other than myself. Help! That is Kirk. You jest, Kevin. But Kirk is being invaded by cats. And he asks, who's to blame? Blame the early Near Eastern farmers and the wildcats that moved in with them. They started the process that turned wildcats into our house cats. And ancient Egypt later made cats iconic. So pass the blame to them too. Yes, in ancient Egypt, cats were worshipped as gods, which understandably is why cats today have such a what is the word? Not stigma. Such a high thought of themselves, because they think they are still the god cats of the ancient Egyptians. Kirk forgot in this one. Short timeline at when you can start point the blame to. 12,000 years ago, wildcats in the Fertile Crescent began living near human grain stores. A communal relationship, cats hunting rodents attracted to the grain, likely started domestication process. Now, the Fertile Crescent, that would be Iraq, Iran, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Israel, the Fertile Crescent area. So yes, the Middle Eastern. Then 9,500 years ago, human and cat remains were buried together on Cyprus, indicating people were already transporting tame cats across the Mediterranean by this time. Yes, so they're going from the Middle East through the Mediterranean to the Greek Isle of Cyprus, or the Cyprus Isle of Cyprus. And then 4,000 years ago, ancient Egypt elevated the cats culturally and religiously, made them famous companions, and helped spread them wildly by trade and ritual practices. Thus, the Sphinx, which guarded the Sun Temple, and all of the vessels that held the ancient pharaohs' innards remains, their hearts, their lungs, their brain, their stuff like that, were all shaped like cats. Anubis is a cat. He's a cat god. So you can blame the Middle Easterns and you can blame the Egyptians. And most importantly, if you don't like cats, you can blame yourself. I hear cats are lured in by unpainted minis. Yes, they are. We know this, Bacon. We know the cats can break unpainted minis. Now, if they were painted, they might scare the cat away. And yes, I hear they like Anubis is a jackal. Well, is a jackal still a kind of feline? Or is a jackal a canine? Let's look that up. I always thought a jackal was a canine, or was a feline. Not a jackalope. Jackal. They are canine. They look more akin to our coyotes. What is the feline? Bastet was the ancient feline Egyptian cat goddess. Bastet. My bad. Cork, perhaps no mummies have come back to life because cats knocked all their Kennepick jars off their tables. Probably. Thank you, Yukai. Yes. Yes, we just got that. But yes, cats love to knock things off of tables. A friend bought some mummy linen back from Egypt and smells like cat spit. That's probably because they used cat spit. And I know you're using spit, but it's probably because they used cat spit because of the ammonia in it. So was Sekhmet. I think she was a lion goddess, or at least she sometimes was. She had a second form. I do believe that's to be true also. I'm not big on my Egyptian gods, my Egyptian animal gods, outside of Horus and Ra and yeah, about that. That's about it. Horus and Ra and Anubis. But again, I was not familiar that the jackal was a canine. Maybe I was. Maybe I just forgot it. But I hope that's an answer for you, Kirk. I hope that's who you can blame for why you have so many cats. Blame yourself. Because if it wasn't for you adopting so many cats, you wouldn't have so many cats. Question 6. Now we get into the heart of things. Were there any ancient Egyptian pirates? I know there were river pirates in China. Perhaps there were Nile pirates as well. Actually, Kirk, yes, there were Nile-based raiders and waterborne bandits in ancient Egypt, though they weren't called pirates in the classical swashbuckling sense. These groups operated more like opportunistic river marauders, especially during periods of political instability. While the Nile was the lifeblood of the Egyptian civilization, used for trade, transport, and agriculture, it also provided a strategic corridor for hostile incursions. During the first intermediate period, circa 2181 to 2055 BCE, and other times of weakened central authority, records suggest that bandits and rival factions used boats to raid settlements along the river. These weren't pirates with flags and cutlasses, but they did exploit the river's accessibility to conduct theft, sabotage, and even military-style raids. Sounds a lot like the Vikings of the North. You noticed that all civilizations, every civilization, has some sort of raider or pillager or ne'er-do-weller. The Egyptians had these raiders, marauders. The Scandinavians had the Vikings. The people of the Caribbean had my people, the pirates. Though my people, the pirates, also came from places like Europe, like Spain and France and Portugal and the Netherlands, the Dutch, and most importantly, the English, where our good friend the Bacon is from. So, I believe that all civilizations across the globe had some sort of raider or pillager or ne'er-do-well. Now, while they all weren't called pirates, they were pirates in the loosest form of the word. Because even Caribbean pirates are kin to Scandinavian Vikings. We just do it in the sun, and we drink rum instead of doing everything in the wintertime and drinking mead. So, that is question 5. Yes, there were Nile pirates. That's question 6 rather. There were Egyptian pirates. There were Nile River pirates. And yes, they did all do bad, well things. And finally, I posted this question in the Discord, though I don't know. Yes, I did. Question 7. I did post it here also. Kirk asks, one final question of the evening. The Boston Tea Party participants famously wore costumes to look like Native Americans as they dumped tea on the harbor. Yes, Bacon, we poured over your very finest tea that you guys sent over with a tariff tax on it. Why? Because we didn't like your tax on tea. No taxation without representation. We didn't ask for no tax. But you guys taxed it anyway. Well, you guys didn't. King George did. But Kirk asked the most important question. Are there any other big incidents in history where the participants wore costumes? And I posted this answer in the Discord because I did not believe that we would be having an episode tonight. Because I thought people would have voted for the yay, we're going to postpone it because of the kitties and Halloween and everything else. But damn ye wells, y'all talked me into doing an episode, because if we hadn't done this episode tonight, we would be going 4 weeks without an episode, because we didn't do an episode last week because people were sick, and we aren't going to be doing an episode for the next 2 weeks. So, and possibly we may do an episode on the 21st, whichever Friday that is after the Friday before Thanksgiving holiday, but I don't know that we'd be doing one on the 29th or the 28th, which is the day after the Thanksgiving holiday. Or it's not Thanksgiving anymore, it's Indigenous Peoples Day or something like that. I don't know. Well, that's Columbus Day, but yeah. The big meal you have with family around the table who argue and talk politicky shop, and everybody gets into a fight and an argument. And though some people will sit down afterwards and watch the Dallas Cowboys play on Thursday night football, Thanksgiving football, the Lions and the Cowboys always play. So, but to get to the answer, yes, Kirk, there are several major historical events where the participants wore costumes to disguise themselves, signal affiliation, or create symbolic impact. And we're not going to be talking about the big bad ones that happen here in the States, because those were just people in white sheets burning stuff on people's lawns. And yeah, we don't talk about those peoples because we don't like those peoples. But we will be talking about some others. These include protests, revolts, and covert operations across centuries. One of the most famous examples, besides the Boston Tea Party, happens to coincide with me favorite holiday of the world. It is a British holiday, and it just so happens to coincide with me birthday, the day of me birth. But this happened in 1605, and I was not born on me day of me birth in 1605. But this happens to be the Gunpowder Plot. And it's Guy Fawkes and his fellow conspirators who wore cloaks and masks to conceal their identity as they attempted to throw 12 or 24 barrels of gunpowder underneath one of the wings of the Parliament building to blow it up because they wanted to get rid of the Parliament. And this is where we get the song, or get the poem, Remember, Remember the 5th of November, the Gunpowder Treason and Plot. Now, I also, in the Discord, couple 4 years ago, about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, is when I built this song. But I posted a song that I took, because it's in public domain, so I can use it. I took the poem, the Gunpowder Treason and Plot poem, and threw it into Sono, and had Sono spit me out a punk version of the song. And I'm surprised that no punk band has ever done this song before, because what I created is pretty dope. And if you guys have a chance to go listen to it, please go do. It is in the Rogue Bard Advice Updates tab in the Discord. The fireworks have already started here, literally. Yes, the fireworks have. But when is bonfire night? Bonfire night is Wednesday. So, you know that is me birthday now, bacon. So, if you go to a bonfire on bonfire night, please light one in me honor. I would love to have a bonfire lit in me honor for a holiday, because I did not realize until late in life that Guy Fawkes Day was the 5th of November, was my birthday, was a holiday. So, with that being said, moving forward, the French Revolution, political factions often dressed in symbolic attire. In the American Civil War, Confederate raiders like John Singleton, Mosby's Rangers sometimes wore Union uniforms to infiltrate enemy lines. This tactic, while effective, was considered illegal under the laws of war and could result in execution if captured. It's always illegal to wear another armed forces uniform, to get behind their lines, to sabotage them and to kill them while wearing their uniforms and stuff like that. It's war faux pas. I think the Canadians got in trouble for that, and thus that's why we have it as part of the Geneva Conventions. As you all know, the Geneva Conventions for the Canadians are more like a checklist of things not to do, because they used to do them and Geneva got mad and we now have rules against it. The Stonewall riots of 1969. A pivotal moment in the LGBTQ plus history saw drag queens and transgendered individuals already dressed in gender non-conforming attire, resisting police raids. Their clothing became a powerful symbol of defiance and identity. More recent history, the Black Bloc, BLOC, tactic used by the anarchist and the anti-globalization protesters involves wearing all black clothing en masse to create anonymity and solidarity during demonstrations. This was notably seen during the 1999 World Trade Organization protests in Seattle. But costumes have played a role in labor strikes, anti-nuclear protests, and environmental activism, where participants dressed as animals, clowns, or corporate caricatures to draw attention and mock power structures. For instance, mocking a power structure, the Brits did it wonderfully back in 2020 when they had a big balloon of an orange guy, blonde hair, dressed in a diaper. That is a costume kind of thing. So while the Boston Tea Party is iconic for its use of disguise, it's part of a long tradition where clothing become a total tool of rebellion, symbolism, and strategy. If you're exploring this theme, please don't. You could go down a whole rabbit hole that you might not return from. So, question for Chris or anyone in chat. Who knows the history? Was Guy Fawkes a hero, villain, or something else? Well, to many, Guy Fawkes was a hero. To others, most importantly, the King of England and the Parliament and the individuals who ultimately arrested him, he was a villain. He was hung 6 months later after he was captured, and the only reason he was captured is because one of his compatriots got cold feet and turned the whole lot of them in. This is where if you're going to do something and it must be a secret, you keep that secret to yourself. If you have to tell somebody, you tell only one person, and that's a Gibbs rule. But this one guy got cold feet and he turned himself in and said, at midnight there will be Guy Fawkes who will be coming down the sewers areas underneath the House of Parliament with a wheelbarrow full of gunpowder barrels, and you should arrest him. And when Guy Fawkes got down there and lit a candle, the Royal Guard was already there in position waiting to arrest him. Bacon had a bunch of protests here last year, all right-wing stuff. It was spicy, super spicy. After 2 days, people started counter-protesting. My favourite was in Brighton. See, I said it right. It's Brighton, where a team of drag queens intercepted them. I love the Brighton drag scene. Haha. No, a small amount of protesters for the No Kings protest, especially important wore silly costumes. Well, yes, as a matter of fact, even before the No Kings protests, there were people standing outside of the ICE headquarters in Portland wearing dinosaur costumes, having dinosaur picnics across the street and on the street and on the sidewalk, and getting arrested. As a matter of fact, there was a 65-year-old lady. I'm not going to tell you what type of costume she was wearing, but it was of a male appendage. And she was sitting there on the side of the road doing nothing, protesting peacefully with a sign, and she was tackled and arrested by no less than 3 sheriff's officers, 3 big burly sheriff's officers. They threw her to the ground in her male appendage costume, arrested her, and took her to jail in her male appendage costume. It was funny that she was protesting as a male appendage costume, but it was not funny, nor was it right that she got arrested for it. And the only reason she got arrested for it is because the 3 officers found her costume offensive. Kevin, you're from Portland. I know of a protest you guys do every year, a sort of bicycle ride. And even this year, people were starting to get arrested for doing that bicycle ride, that specific bicycle ride. It's all people just want to go out there and ride their bicycles. It just happens that they want to ride their bicycles in the nude, but that doesn't seem to bother anybody on most days. But we're getting off track. Well, kind of, sort of, no. But yes, so to answer the question, there have been plenty of historical events where costumes and other forms of dress were used to protest what was going on and to hide identities. So, with that being said, that, I believe, brings us to our last question. That was our last question, I believe. Yes, that was our last question, because question 8 was a question from a couple weeks ago, as we haven't had a question 8 in a while, so haven't had reason to change it. Sounds chafy. Oh, you should see some of these bikes. Some of the women out there who ride have accoutrements on certain parts of their bikes while they're riding. This tonight's chat has gotten spicy. Super spicy. It's a spicy spooktacular. But we do it only once a year, so Halloween is fine. It's the one time of the year where you can dress like something that you're not, or dress normal and people think that you're dressed as something that you're not. Who knows? But with that, we are at the point of the show where we have to go down into the dungeon. Now, the spicy dungeon, the deadly dungeon. Well, the deadly dungeon can be spicy too, I guess. But we're going into our deadly dungeon. So, with that being said, let's see. No, that's the wrong one. Nope, that's the wrong one. Sure. There we go. Tonight's Deadly Dungeon is a dual Deadly Dungeon, where we have the Thieves Guild versus the IRA, and the Green Ranger Bender Zord versus Ultron. Now, we're doing a supersized version because I did have this set up for last week, where the Thieves Guild was taking on the IRA, and that left only the Green Ranger Bender Zord versus Ultron left. But since we didn't have an episode last week, and I don't want you guys to wait to see who is going to the finals, we are doing both tonight. Now, I am going to need chat's help with this tonight, because I did not vote in the Green Ranger Bender Zord Ultron contest, because I did not want my vote to sway things. But let's see what happened. We all know what the Thieves Guild brings: their secrecy, their assassination tactics, their shadowy realms. We all know what the IRA brings: their guerrilla warfare style of work, stuff like that, right? We all know what the Green Ranger Bender Zord brings: giant metallic monster, ass of fire, runs on alcohol, Tommy Oliver and his Green Ranger skills, and Ultron, smartest being in the Marvel universe outside of Vision. and maybe not as smart as Doctor Strange, but close. We all know what they bring. So without further ado, this is what happened. You guys overwhelmingly voted for the Thieves Guild to beat the IRA 57% versus over 43%. You guys did, however, and this is where we're going to need help in the chat, because we're going to do this again here in the chat. The Green Ranger Bender Zord versus Ultron. There was only 6 votes, and whichever way I voted would have spurred the vote towards one way or the other. Now, I know which way I would have voted, but I want to do this again here in the chat. So in the chat, I want you to place your vote. Who do you think should go through to the final? Green Ranger Bender Zord or Ultron? Now, with that being said, the simulations were outside of the realm of what you guys did. The simulation said the IRA would absolutely defeat the Thieves Guild for 58% over 42%. And that the Green Ranger Bender Zord absolutely crushes Ultron 57 to 43. That's kind of flippy-floppied right there. That's kind of the whoosh. But the spiciness must flow. Well, the spiciness will flow. The best Ranger, mostly. Ultron, Green Ranger, Green Ranger, Green Ranger. Okay. So, with that being said, the Green Ranger Bender Zord will be moving forward to fight the Thieves Guild, because you all know that we do not go by what the simulation says. We go by what you guys want. You guys are the fans. You guys get what you guys want. Give it to the sim. Well, kind of are. I mean, you guys are voting for the Green Ranger Bender Zord, and the simulation has the Green Ranger Bender Zord. We will get to that in a minute, Ruby. But with that being said, our bracket looks like this. The Thieves Guild has moved forward, and the Green Ranger Bender Zord has moved forward. So, I will update this, and in 3 weeks, I will give everybody 2 weeks to vote, because that is the max I can have people vote on the polls in Discord. In 3 weeks' time, we will see who is this season's champion. The Thieves Guild versus the Green Ranger Bender Zord. Now, I suspect if the Green Ranger Bender Zord runs on alcohol and you have a group of thieves, I suspect those thieves will thief the power supply, or the fuel supply, rather, of the Green Ranger Bender Zord, and it would just be the Thieves Guild versus Tommy Oliver. That is what I suspect. If I were a thief, which my title, the Pirate Thief Archaeologist, that's what I would do. I would steal the fuel supply. Bender can't do anything. So, who knows? But that's what I suspect. Yes, thanks, Kevin. Yes, do not forget to like the stream. Do not forget to hit those notification buttons. Subscribe to the stream. Share the stream out so we can get more people in here, because we need more questions, people. With that being said, you also have 3 weeks to get me questions. So that's 3 weeks of you guys figuring out what you guys want to ask me, sending me in, and 3 weeks to get me to get an answer to you. Whatever did happen to the Beethoven Mozart then? You know what? I'm sorry. You're absolutely right, Kevin. I messed up. It was supposed to be the Green Ranger Bender Zord versus the concert of Beethoven and Mozart. And you know what? I had that. But because I didn't change out I got so excited. I didn't change out the photo for Ultron. The numbers are the numbers are right. It's just the Ultron wasn't right. I got too excited about the Green Ranger Bender Zord winning that I forgot that it was against Beethoven and Mozart. That is on me. But thank you for bringing that to my attention. Beethoven wouldn't hear of getting in Bender's way. So let's see. Let's see how let me tell you how that fight actually went out. The Maestro duo wins significantly minority, 43 over 100, when battles occur in highly resonant areas or arenas, or when they secure early control of reflective architecture that multiplies their sonic output. Their ability to blind sensors and induce structural fatigue lets them win prolonged environment-dominated fights. Tommy Oliver riding Bender as a Megazord takes a modest majority by leveraging brute force, close-range precision, and Bender's creative sabotage to disable or destroy acoustic emitters before sustained resonance can collapse the Zord system. Tommy's power sword strikes at joints and sensor suites are decisive in many close engagements. I mean, we can revote. Do we want to revote? Do we want to? I mean, we can. I mean, I messed up, so is a revote going to change anybody's vote? The Green Bender Megazord versus, or the Green Ranger Bender Megazord versus Beethoven Mozart concert? Kevin doubts it. I mean, Ron said give it to the Sim earlier, so, I mean, I honestly think that Kevin, Green Ranger Megazord still. Honestly, Kevin, does it matter who goes up against the Green Ranger Bender Zord? I think just that combination beats everything. Even Thanos' snap. Kirk says it wouldn't change my POV. Perfect. Then we didn't lose anything. Just my spicy up. With that being said, we are at the end of the program. Well, not necessarily the end of the program, but we are in Chat. And we always like to start off Chat with good things for the week. I have a couple good things of the week. I got a new tooth. Well, not necessarily a new tooth. I got a new crown. Because apparently, filling that I had in one of my teeth back in like December-ish, some time ago, had popped loose or did something and cracked my second or last molar on my right side on all four faces. Now, it wasn't cracked to the point where the tooth was falling out and separating and everything. It just cracked the enamel and stuff. But I finally went in there, and for the cost of a coffee, $528 something, I got a crown in place. I mean, a Starbucks coffee does cost like $500 something, right? Happy Halloween, blessed Samhain, dear pirate wench. So that was good thing number one. And I actually had the temporary crown installed on Monday with a appointment to come back on the 10th for my permanent crown when they got my permanent crown in, and 3 days later, Wednesday, they get my permanent crown in. So no, Thursday they got my permanent crown in. So yeah, I got a new crown. Let's see, what else is good news? We already discussed me leaving here and not going to Lake Mary anymore, but going to Lakewood Ranch, which is in Sarasota. That is a new change. That is actually a new change that happened today. Let's see. Yeah, it was good for everybody else. It was quick crown work, and it feels all nice and smooth on the inside edge, and the top of it feels just like my other tooth, because they took that moldy gel stuff and made the outside mold of my tooth, so it feels like my tooth never was broken. Good thing of the week, it's bonfire night on Wednesday. Next Wednesday, the 5th of November, it is bonfire night. It's also Pirate's birthday, at which point Pirate will be 42 years old. I've been sailing these open waters for the last 42 years. Well, as tall as I can be to sail the waters. 42 years next Wednesday, yep. And then next Friday, as my birthday present to myself, I get me tattoo. What else? We have good news coming out of the Bard extraordinaire. He's got his, we discussed this already, he's got his, the playtest. He did the playtest through Florida Man RPG while he was in Francisco. And he's got new music coming out, or he's working on new music. We don't know. I don't know when it's coming out yet, but he's got new music. No. Anyway, despite health sleep issues, Kevin didn't call out at all this week. That's good. You get a good paycheck. That's always nice. Paycheck in this economy is good, though I suspect you don't work for the government. So, and for those who do, and who are in that position where they are not getting paid but still having to go to work, I do sympathize with you. Although I am funded because my funding comes from a different pot of money. But also those who are struggling because of SNAP benefits, please seek out your local your local food banks and whatnot. And if you have, I got a friend of mine on the TikTok and the Instagram, Scotty K. It's Scotty K Fitness. He just donated $2,500 to the food bank, which, according to the food bank, $1 equates to 4 meals. So he just bought like 10,000 meals. If you are in a position to financially help, go donate to the food bank. If you are not in a financial position to go help financially donate to the food bank, you could always go and volunteer at the food bank, because there are people, and the majority of them are kids. They need the foods. I got a guy I follow, Gary, the barbecue chef on TikTok. Tonight, he in addition to handing out candy to the kids for Halloween, he also handed out ramen because of the SNAP shutdown. At least in his point of view, at least the kids will get one meal this weekend. That's absolutely fine. We like doing that. We like supporting that kind of stuff. So, shout out to Gary, the barbecue chef. Shout out to Scotty K Fitness. Seriously, FV Shred. That's Scotty's motto. Yeah. So I hope this video doesn't get cut for that. But if it does, I don't care. We're doing good things over here. We're doing great things. We're doing wonderful things. We're trying to be good people despite everything that's going on in the world. Mr. Pirate Senior says hello. He's not pirate. He's as he says, he's a German Jew. He's always at war with himself. Baker says, hi, extended pirate clan. Yeah. Pirate Senior is my stepdad, so hello, Pirate Senior. Yes, Yukai, another 5K does count as long as it's for charity. Well, even if it's not for charity, it still counts. Kevin works at utility indirectly, so similar, but no, not government. Well, it is 11:18, everybody, and y'all know what that means. That means we are coming down to the end of the show. I would like to take this time to thank everybody for joining. Everybody who is in here. Bacon, Kevin, Pirate Wife, thank you for showing up. I know Teeny didn't get a chance to make it, or maybe she did. She's just not saying anything in the chat. Kevin, Ron, Ruby, Kirk, Jim. I saw Jim pop in there. Thank you guys. Yeah, I could not do this without you guys. Without you guys' support. You guys are the loyal faithful, and we will be continuing this more and more. We just have to get more stability, kind of thing. Tomorrow or Sunday, dear? I thought it was Sunday, but going to grants for local small businesses. That's good. That's great. Well, with that being said, we will throw it back to this, and this is where we discuss everything. Thank you all for showing up. Don't forget, please like, subscribe, and share this stream out there. Get people's viewpoints on this. Get more visual on this stream. We like to have more people come in. With that being said, we will be off for the next 2 weeks. Our next show will possibly be, let's see, the 21st of November seems like a good day for our next show. So we will be here, same Rogue Bard Advice time, same Rogue Bard Advice channel, 2 weeks from now. And we will go up ahead and throw up in the Discord the Thieves Guild versus the Green Ranger Bender Zord. With that being said, I am your host. I have been your host. I will always be your host. The Pirate Archaeologist, the Rogue Pirate Archaeologist, the Rogue Thief Pirate Archaeologist, Captain Bartholomew Bones McCoy, or simply Chris. With that being said, as always, take what you want. Give nothing back. This is Rogue Bard Advice, signing off. See you in 2 weeks.